In the summer of 2024, wildfires swept across North America, leaving behind a trail of destruction and heartbreak. From the golden hills of California to the bustling cities of the northeastern states, flames tore through homes, forests, and lives. These wildfires have become an annual threat, but this year, they seemed more aggressive and widespread than ever before. One of the most affected areas was Los Angeles County in California. Known for its iconic beaches and vibrant city life, this region faced a different scene. Smoke-filled skies and hills glowing red in the night. Thousands of people had to leave their homes as the fire advanced, destroying everything in its path. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, unexpected wildfires broke out in regions like New Jersey and New York. These areas, not typically known for wildfires, experienced unprecedented challenges as flames spread rapidly through forests and even approached suburban neighborhoods. The significance of these wildfires goes beyond the immediate damage. Entire communities were displaced, schools and businesses were closed, and local economies suffered immense losses. The fires didn't just destroy homes, they also affected the environment in severe ways. Thick smoke polluted the air, making it difficult to breathe even miles away from the fire zones. Animals lost their habitats, and fragile ecosystems were thrown into chaos. For many, these wildfires served as a wake-up call about the dangers of climate change and human impact on the environment. Rising temperatures, prolonged droughts, and unpredictable weather patterns have made conditions ideal for wildfires. As we look back on this devastating season, it's clear that the impact of these fires will be felt for years to come, not just by those who lost everything, but by all of us who share this planet. This chapter is just the beginning of a story about courage, resilience, and the fight to protect both people and nature. In the following chapters, we will explore how these fires started, the incredible efforts of those who battled the flames, and the personal stories of those who faced this disaster head-on. The wildfires that swept across North America in 2024 were not caused by a single factor. Instead, they were the result of a dangerous combination of natural conditions and human activity. To understand how these devastating fires began, we must examine both the environment and the actions of people. One major natural cause was the weather. In California, the summer months are known for their dry conditions, but 2024 was particularly severe. The region had experienced months of drought, leaving the landscape parched and vegetation brittle. This created the perfect fuel for wildfires. On top of that, the infamous Santa Ana winds played a critical role. These strong, dry winds blow through Southern California during the fall, carrying hot air from the deserts toward the coast. As the winds pick up speed, they can turn a small spark into an uncontrollable inferno, spreading flames across miles of land in a matter of hours. But nature alone is not to blame. Human actions also contributed significantly to the outbreak of wildfires. In some cases, accidents caused fires to ignite. A carelessly discarded cigarette or an improperly extinguished campfire can start a blaze that quickly spirals out of control. Even more troubling are the cases of arson, fires deliberately set by individuals. In Los Angeles County, investigators believe that some of the fires may have been started intentionally. This has sparked outrage and calls for stricter penalties for those found guilty of such crimes. In addition to arson, human development has made the problem worse. Many homes and businesses are now built in areas close to forests and grasslands, regions that are highly susceptible to wildfires. These urban wildland interfaces make it easier for fires to spread from nature to populated areas, putting more people and property at risk. As the fires raged, investigators worked tirelessly to determine their exact causes. Teams of experts examined burn patterns, weather data, and witness reports to piece together how each fire started. This information is not only vital for holding responsible parties accountable, but also for preventing similar disasters in the future. For example, in one case in New Jersey, it was discovered that a power line had sparked due to strong winds, igniting dry grass below. Utility companies are now being urged to take more precautions, such as shutting off power during high-risk weather conditions. The combination of natural and human factors creates a complex challenge. While we cannot control the weather, we can take steps to reduce the risk of human-caused fires. Awareness, education, and better planning are crucial to minimizing future disasters. Understanding the causes of wildfires is the first step in addressing this growing threat. In the next chapter, we will explore the heroic efforts of firefighters and first responders who put their lives on the line to battle these destructive blazes. Their work reminds us of the incredible strength and resilience of those who protect us in the face of nature's fury. The wildfires of 2024 were not just destructive, they were also astonishingly fast. Once a fire ignited, it could spread across vast distances in mere hours, driven by environmental conditions that seemed almost designed to fuel its fury. In California, the dry landscape acted as a tinderbox. Grass, shrubs, and trees, dried to a crisp by months of drought, caught fire easily. Once the flames began, the Santa Ana winds carried embers over long distances, igniting new fires far from the original source. In one instance, a fire in Los Angeles County jumped across a highway, carried by these powerful gusts. Within a day, what had started as a small brush fire had grown into a massive inferno, threatening entire neighborhoods. Meanwhile, in the northeastern states, where wildfires are less common, communities were caught off guard. Fires spread quickly through forests and even into suburban areas, fueled by unseasonably dry weather and gusty winds. In New Jersey, residents described watching flames approach their homes faster than they could react. It was as if the fires had a life of their own, consuming everything in their path. Fighting these wildfires required a massive, coordinated effort. Thousands of firefighters were deployed across the country, working tirelessly to control the blazes. Firefighting teams used a variety of tools and strategies, including fire breaks, cleared strips of land designed to stop the fire's progress, and controlled burns, where smaller, intentional fires are set to remove potential fuel from the fire's path. Helicopters and planes became crucial in the battle against the flames. These aircraft carried giant containers filled with water or fire retardant, which they dropped over active fire zones. Residents often stopped to watch as planes roared overhead, releasing bright red clouds of fire retardant that painted the landscape. These aerial efforts were particularly important in remote or mountainous areas where firefighters on the ground couldn't reach. Despite these efforts, the challenges were immense. One major issue was the availability of water. In California, many areas rely on reservoirs and rivers for firefighting, but the prolonged drought had left these sources depleted. Firefighters sometimes had to travel long distances to refill their equipment, costing valuable time. Another challenge was the sheer size of the fires. In some cases, the fire line stretched for miles, making it impossible to contain the flames completely. Firefighters described working 16-hour shifts in scorching heat, battling flames that could reach heights of 30 feet or more. The physical and mental toll on these teams was enormous. Yet, despite the danger and exhaustion, they continued their work with determination and courage. Even with modern technology and skilled teams, nature often had the upper hand. Sudden changes in wind direction could undo hours of hard work, spreading flames into areas that had been thought safe. In one case in Northern California, firefighters were forced to retreat when a fire they had nearly contained suddenly surged, fueled by a new gust of wind. The firefighting efforts were a race against time, with lives, homes, and entire communities hanging in the balance. In the next chapter, we will hear the personal stories of those who were forced to flee, capturing the human side of this disaster and the resilience of those who faced it head-on. For many residents, the wildfires of 2024 were not just news headlines. They were life-changing events filled with fear, heartbreak, and resilience. As flames approached their homes, people faced the terrifying decision to leave everything behind and flee to safety. Their stories reveal the human side of this disaster and the strength that emerges in moments of crisis. In Los Angeles County, 38-year-old mother of two, Rachel Martinez, recalled the moment she knew her family had to evacuate. "The sky turned orange and ash started falling like snow," she said. "The air smelled like smoke, and my kids were coughing. We grabbed whatever we could, photo albums, important documents, and a few clothes, and got into the car. The drive out of their neighborhood was chaotic, with cars lined up for miles and police officers directing traffic. I was scared for my kids, but I tried to stay calm, Rachel shared. I kept telling them, "We'll be okay. Things can be replaced." But we can't. Not all evacuations went as smoothly. In the hills of New Jersey, John and Susan Keller, an elderly couple, were caught off guard by the speed of the fire. "We never thought we'd have wildfires here," John said. "But suddenly we saw flames on the ridge near our house. We didn't have time to pack much. Just our dog, Max, and a few essentials." Their neighbors helped them get out safely, with one young man volunteering to drive them to the nearest evacuation center when their car wouldn't start. "We were so grateful," Susan said. "In moments like that, you realize how much we depend on each other." The role of community support was crucial during these evacuations. Shelters were quickly set up in schools, community centers, and churches to house displaced families. Volunteers provided food, water, and blankets, while local businesses donated supplies. In one shelter in California, a group of high school students organized a small play area for children, complete with toys and games, to help ease their stress. "The community really came together," said volunteer coordinator Emily Chang. "It was heartwarming to see people helping each other, even in such a difficult time." Emergency services also played a vital role in ensuring the safety of evacuees. Firefighters and police officers went door to door in some neighborhoods, urging residents to leave immediately. In certain cases, helicopters were used to rescue those trapped in remote areas. One dramatic rescue involved a hiker, Mark Davis, who had been camping in the mountains when the fire surrounded him. "I thought I was done for," Mark said, "but then I saw a helicopter overhead. They lowered a rope and I was pulled to safety. I owe them my life." Despite the fear and uncertainty, many evacuees found moments of hope and resilience. Neighbors who had never spoken before shared meals and stories in shelters. Families comforted each other, and strangers became friends. "It's strange," Rachel Martinez reflected, "but in a way the fire brought us closer together. It reminded us of what really matters: family, friends, and kindness." The stories of those who evacuated during the wildfires highlight both the fragility and strength of human life. While the flames destroyed homes and possessions, they also revealed the power of community and the bravery of individuals in the face of disaster. In the final chapter, we will explore the current status of these wildfires, the efforts to rebuild, and the lessons we can learn to prevent future tragedies. As of late 2024, most of the wildfires that ravaged North America have been brought under control, but their impact lingers. Firefighters worked tirelessly for weeks, using every resource at their disposal to extinguish the flames. In some areas, the fires burned out naturally as cooler weather and rain arrived. However, in others, containment required extraordinary efforts, including round-the-clock firefighting and aerial drops of water and fire retardant. Despite these successes, not all fires have been fully extinguished. In remote areas of California and the northeastern states, smaller hotspots continue to smolder, posing a risk of reigniting if weather conditions worsen. Fire crews remain vigilant, monitoring these areas and taking preventive measures to avoid further flare-ups. "We're not out of the woods yet," said Fire Chief David Ramirez. "The land is still dry, and the wind can change everything in an instant." Beyond the immediate danger, the environmental impact of the wildfires has been devastating. Thick smoke blanketed entire regions, leading to hazardous air quality levels that affected millions of people. In Los Angeles, the air was so polluted that schools closed, and residents were advised to stay indoors for days. Doctors reported an increase in respiratory issues, particularly among children and the elderly. The damage to wildlife and natural habitats has been equally severe. Thousands of acres of forest were reduced to ash, destroying ecosystems that took decades to form. Animals, unable to escape the fast-moving flames, perished in large numbers. For those that survived, the loss of food and shelter has made survival a daily struggle. Conservation groups have stepped in to provide emergency aid, such as food drops for displaced animals and efforts to rehabilitate injured wildlife. The broader implications of these wildfires cannot be ignored. Scientists warn that such events are becoming more frequent and intense due to climate change. Rising global temperatures, prolonged droughts, and shifting weather patterns have created conditions that make wildfires more likely. This isn't just a natural disaster. It's a climate crisis, said environmental researcher Dr. Elena Carter. The wildfires of 2024 have sparked urgent conversations about the need for better wildfire preparedness. Governments at both local and national levels are reevaluating their strategies, focusing on prevention and early response. In California, officials are investing in improved infrastructure, such as fire-resistant building materials and better evacuation routes. Meanwhile, utility companies are being pressured to upgrade their equipment to prevent sparks that could ignite fires. At the community level, residents are being encouraged to take proactive steps, such as clearing brush around their homes and creating family emergency plans. Educational campaigns are helping people understand the importance of fire safety, especially in high-risk areas. But prevention alone is not enough. Experts agree that addressing the root causes of climate change is essential to reducing the risk of future wildfires. This means transitioning to renewable energy, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and protecting natural areas that act as carbon sinks. We have to think long-term, Dr. Carter emphasized. If we don't tackle climate change, we'll see more disasters like this, and worse. Despite the challenges, there is hope. Communities are coming together to rebuild, and efforts to restore the environment are already underway. Volunteers are planting trees in burned areas, organizations are raising funds to support displaced families, and researchers are developing new technologies to combat wildfires more effectively. The 2024 wildfires were a stark reminder of nature's power and humanity's vulnerability. But they also highlighted the resilience of people, the importance of community, and the urgent need to protect our planet. As we move forward, these lessons will shape how we prepare for and respond to the challenges of a changing world. The question now is not whether we can prevent another disaster, but whether we will act in time to make a difference.